talk afterwards. So, does everybody know everybody? No. Okay, just go around and...
Sure.
Okay.
Does everybody know you?
Well, I was going last. I'll go first. So I'm Jay Rose Pepe. I'm the council member representing the city and the facilitator. Okay. So.
And I'm Lorraine Olson with Mrs. Howe's Bed and Breakfast.
Kathy Garcia with the Port of Bremerton.
Keith Washington, Sinks Kirkville.
Jack Edwards, the Days Inn, Port Orchard.
And Brandy Reinerson, city clerk, city staff.
Cool. Let me get mad in. We'll get rocking. Mr. Murphy.
And then hopefully in between the presenters coming in, if you guys have questions, then we can answer it at that time. And then we should have some time at the end before the last presenter to get some questions answered. Perfect. It's kind of a rush day.
How much time do I have?
2 seconds.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Yeah, no kidding.
Soon.
Wasn't sure.
You have 15 minutes.
15?
Yeah.
Outstanding. And let's go ahead and pass these around.
Thank you.
And I think I have one
I'll take
for the
that.
record.
Oh, Kathy didn't get one. No.
Yep.
Thank you.
So make sure I got mine still. Yeah, okay. See, I had to write mine on the top to make sure I didn't give it out. So my name is Matt. I'm the executive director for the Port Orchard Chamber of Commerce. And this is my 4th year here asking for funds. And I kind of wanted to take some time to go through kind of what we do and how we do it. And so on page 1 there, I've got the little graphic there, and I put that together to demonstrate that the Chamber of Commerce is the center of the universe as far as I'm concerned. But we do use a 3-pronged approach. We provide something to do, we provide a visitor center, and we bring people into town. And the 3 pieces of that I'm going to break down for you today. And you know, a little bit about what we've done in the past and what I want to do in the future. So on the back page, this is like really counterintuitive, but it's easier this way. The first thing we do, so the funds in the past, we've broken it down into 3 pieces. We've asked for 3 chunks of money, and for some reason during the pre-conference meeting that we had, we kind of figured maybe it's easier just to go for a one lump all at once. So on the application, if and when you read it, I've got a check mark in both the event marketing and the tourism portion of it. Normally it's a one or the other type situation. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Seagull Calling Festival and Wings Cook-Off, which is the bottom half of the last page there. Every year for the last 30 years, we're going into the 31st year, we put on the Seagull Calling Festival and the Wings Cook-Off in conjunction with the Kitsap Harbor Festival. Each year, depending upon the weather, it is successful or less than successful. But it's something that is tradition, and we've done it, and people come and they come and they come. And since we joined forces on the same weekend as the Kitsap Harbor Festival going on the Bremerton side, we provide something over here on the Port Orchard side. Foot ferry runs back and forth on that weekend, and we get a lot of people that visit both locations. This year was a great year. Funding for this is never enough based upon the income that it generates. Our income generation for this event is actually the wings that we sell. We typically sell 1,000-ish wings, $1,000 worth of wings, let me put it that way. That represents probably 1,200 to 1,500 wings that people buy throughout the day. Just our health permits for this event cost $360 some odd. So it's, unfortunately, those are costs that we can't recoup in other places. So each year we come and we ask for funds for that. Last year we put on a Marine swap meet on the Saturday, which was not successful, unfortunately. We spent the money that we had, we advertised it, we marketed it, It just wasn't successful. It's not something that we will do again. Although everybody that did come was like, well, it could be better next year, but not convinced of that. So it is something that we won't be doing next year. I think this year for the Seagull Festival, well, the combination of Seagull Calling and the Marine Swap meet, I think we got $3,500. We didn't spend it all. We only spent $3. The rest of it is going to go back into the kitty for whatever. So, this is an event. If the event is popular, we use less city funds. I mean, and by popular, I shouldn't say popular. If the weather cooperates and the people come out, but unfortunately our fixed costs are pretty much the same every year. So that's one piece of the project, and that is something to do. The second part is the actual physical visitor center. We are located down on Bay Street underneath the Golden Grill Restaurant at 1014 Bay Street. We've tried to find locations downtownish. Right off the top, the city ordinance doesn't allow for a non-retail business to be located directly onto Bay Street in the downtown corridor. Something that we'd like to try to challenge at some point in the future, but at this point, we can't find the location that is suitable for us. We've been there before. Part of my thing is that this Port Orchard Chamber of Commerce represents all of Port Orchard, somewhat 9 square miles of territory in South Kitsap. So, being downtown is a symbolic thing, but being at a location that's easily accessible and visible, I think is the most important part. And even being two blocks off Bay Street, we still get a ton of people that come in. We get people that just walk in off the street. Some of them walk up off the ferry. Some of them drive in. We get telephone calls. We get email requests from our website, which I'll go into that here in a little bit. And then we actually still get a handwritten letter from somebody saying, I plan on coming to Port Orchard. What can you tell me? And so then we put together a package of information and send that off to them. So that is, that's the visitor center part. We do have 4 racks with the brochures. We've got brochures coming in and out. In fact, I just noticed, I didn't even realize, row 2, we've got the Days In flyer. What's that?
Didn't know I had one.
I know, yeah. So you might want to see if it's current and accurate or not. But so we do get lots of people coming in and out for that. That is our visitor center circle. And then if you open it up, this is where I get the chance to kind of dig in and shine a little bit. The third piece is the visitor, is tourism promotion. All right, and what we do is we promote South Kitsap and the Port Orchard area over a variety of different means. The Explore Port Orchard was an organization that actually had formed probably 5 years ago. It was just before me, and it was made up of a number of different organizations, including the Port of Bremerton, the City of Port Orchard, the Fathoms of Fun, the Bay Street Association, and the Sydney Museum and Arts Association. They everybody got together and thought, why do we need to be doing the same thing? Putting, we advertise there, you advertise there. Over the course of the last few years, it has worked in that we can cut down on some of the advertising. Some of the members of the group continue to do their own thing. For tax reasons and for status reasons, specifically the fact that the Chamber is a 501c6 organization that qualifies for the use of LTAC funds, the Chamber took over those operations. We still have the same people on the advisory committee, the representatives from the same organizations that I just mentioned, and with it, our mission is to attract people to South Kitsap and Port Orchard to eat, drink, be happy, stay, sleep, spend their money. There's lots of things, the definition of tourism, the RCW, I don't know if you got that, but it's just spending money in town. So that's why we try to bring people in. With that, we've got basically 5 different tools that we use. The Explore Port Orchard Facebook page, and you can see on there, I've listed, we've got, right now we have 686 followers, and in the last 6 months, because that's all Facebook will let me pull off, we posted 466 different posts and had 45,000 reach just with the Explore Port Orchard page on Facebook. Second part is the Explore Port Orchard website, which launched back in 2014. Don't have analytical numbers for that, but you can see that it's gone from 2,400 hits up to 38,000 hits in this last year. So it's growing and it's increasing. And the thing that we've done with Explore Port Orchard is it's our goal is to list everything that there is to do in South Kitsap. You can look at the boat launches, you can look at the lakes to fish, you can look at the playgrounds, the sports, the youth sports organizations, the youth, different youth organizations like Scouts, Girl Scouts, things like that. All of those have listings on there. It is by no means complete, and we're always looking for more. But as you can see, going up, just in the last year, we've gone up 26,000. Increased 26,000 hits. You can see the demographics, the top 5 that have visited us, and amazingly, most of the people find us, the organic search on the graph there on the side, I think that says 69%. So almost 70% of the people find us just by looking and saying, I don't know what they're searching for, things to do in Port Orchard, or, but we're coming up on that. The Port Orchard Chamber website also has an events calendar. So, and actually back to the Explore Port Orchard, our goal with the Explore Port Orchard calendar is to be the most comprehensive website. So, we go out and we try to find what other people are doing. We actively search those out. It'd be nice if everybody just put their stuff on our website, but unfortunately they don't. So we have to go out and hunt for that. And so a portion of the things that the money that we're asking for helps to pay for the maintenance and the upkeep of that website.
You can just have a seat right at the end, and then we'll call you when you're ready.
Oh, I thought we were in the chamber area. Okay.
We might have said that, but we changed.
So the Port Orchard Chamber of Commerce website is portorchard.com. So naturally that name, portorchard.com, brings us a tremendous amount of traffic. You can see that 2015, when I first took over, we were at 34,000. And this last year, and these are the trailing 12 months, 177,000 hits on that website. And you can see 78,000 people from the Seattle area have done searches on our website. And it is also, amazingly enough, August, for some darn reason, that second week of August is when we find a tremendous spike in the activity on the Chamber of Commerce website, and it probably has something to do with the fact that we host the Saints information on there. And so it's, you can watch, if I were to graph it, it would seriously spike during that time. So people come, they look for it, and they find it. And so that is a piece of the package. What?
We have about 1 minute.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, then I'll talk really fast. You guys ready to pay attention now? The last thing that we do is our print advertising. I have actually thrown in here, right there, a copy of 2 pieces, and actually screenshots there, so you don't need to see this. We have tried to update our image. When we advertise, we're advertising the fun, the relaxing, the getaway for the day type of stuff versus text. We don't want all that text. This is pretty cool. I can find out more by visiting exploreportorchard.com. We also, the last piece is our online membership, scenicwa.org and experiencewa.com and scenicwa.com are 2 membership websites that we belong to, the 2 most popular chamber or visitor websites in the state. We have profiles on those pages, and it also allows us to put profiles of other businesses on there.
Are those promoting the events? Seagull Golf Festival, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, so yes, those events go on there. The little picture here is what we have as a featured event. So we featured the cruise, we featured Chimes and Lights, we featured the Seagull, we featured Taste of Port Orchard, I'm not sure if we did Chris Craft or not, but these are $370 a shot. But these are, and for better or for worse, not everybody takes advantage of it. They show up. Days Inn has a listing that we put on there for it. Mrs. Howe's, Comfort Inn, all the restaurants. We're going through and putting all the restaurants. And these are just places that people can find out what to do in the area.
And I'm gonna say
So-
thank you to be, so we can be,
So-
for everybody else's.
Yeah, they got, if you have any questions, you can call me.
Well, can we ask questions now?
We have to honor everybody's time. And we'll have to do
I would
sessions
recommend
later.
we ask future speakers to just, instead of giving the history of the organization, which we all know, just to tell us how they're gonna spend the money, so we have like 5 minutes to.
How do we get
question.
clarification of all the things that we read? So we just won't do that tonight?
I believe not.
Okay.
I think it'd be,
So normally, we got a little bit of a late start, but how we've done it in the past is we've scheduled 15 minutes, so they should talk for 10, and then we have 5 minutes for questions. So we will make sure that we give everybody 10 minutes with 5 questions. So do we want to just spend maybe a minute and a half while I get you guys some water and let them know that we'll be with them in a minute or two?
And ask-
Will that work?
ask a
yep,
couple
that'll
of
work,
questions.
that'll work.
Okay,
I just
and
don't
then
want, I
we'll-
don't want to honor people's time.
Right,
and not-
it should be fair and equal, yes.
it should
Okay,
be
so if you
fair.
guys want to go ask questions, does anybody want some water? I should have asked that before.
Sure. That
Couple, I'll
sounds
bring some
good.
couple waters and then ask questions, and I'll let them know that we're about ready.
So Matt, could you just do a quick breakdown? I didn't see a breakdown of how much would be going to each one of these.
Right, so if you look at the application, so the application is broken down into 2 pieces, the operations and the events marketing.
I just wondered would it be hard to separate out each?
No, off the top of my head, we have $3,000 for the Seagull calling.
Okay.
It's about $9,000 for the visitor center operations, and the balance of it is the tourism promotion.
Perfect.
And the kicker with the tourism promotion is that is 100% reimbursement. We spent $3,600 on this. You know, we spend it, that's what we ask. If, if the numbers are cut, that represents straight cuts in the amount of promotion and marketing that we can do. As far as next year is concerned, Jack, everything is going to be about the same with the exception of our brochures, which is the screenshot here, and it is actually an interactive brochure online. In the past, we paid certified $8,000 a year, and that usually came from county funds. We're not going to do that this year. This year, what we've done is we have gathered the physical mailing addresses for visitor centers and chambers and things like that, and we're going to mail and hand deliver and visit. $8,000 is a lot of money to spend, and I just don't know. Do you have a racket at your place? Do people use it a lot? Yeah,
At my old hotel, they did.
yeah.
There's a lot more people from there.
Yeah, and so, $8,000 is an expense that I thought that we could do better at.
And then
So-
if the
Thank you.
committee has any additional questions, you can give them to me, and then I'll pass it on to Matt and make sure you guys get the answers.
Thank you
And
so
then-
much.
Yeah.
And I did brief them that they'll
Long time
talk
no
for 10
see.
minutes, and then you guys will have 5 minutes to
Okay.
answer questions.
Well, it should be very short-lived.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that, we should have done that a little bit differently. We normally
We're
do,
getting
and I
there.
just,
We're getting there.
I get the hang of it.
First
Randy,
rodeo,
let's
I
do
wouldn't
that chair
know.
for you. Then.
Oh, they got 2, yes.
Yeah, just,
Oh,
Yep.
good. Go ahead.
You're gonna take that one? and I'll-
yeah, we'll just do that one. 2 chairs here.
Yes,
And,
thank you, Jay.
I think I know, well, Matt knows everybody, I'm sure everybody knows everybody, so we'll just go around the table real quickly.
Let me just, I don't know, could you just say your names real quick?
I'm Sharon King, Chair,
Yeah.
oh, I don't have my name badge on,
There you
I've been
go.
shopping all day, I'm sorry. Sharon King, Chair of Fathom's.
Karen Aquino, treasurer.
Great, and I'm Lorraine.
Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Miss Kathy.
Keith Washington.
And your first name?
Keith.
Heath.
Yeah.
Hi, Heath.
Jack Edwards, Days Inn.
Hi, Jack Edwards.
Brandy Reinerson, City Clerk.
I know
City
you,
Staff.
Brandy. I know you,
And
Brandy.
still J. Rose Pepper.
All right, you got about 9.5 minutes.
Okay. Well,
We'll have questions
everyone, I am
afterwards.
assuming, knows Fathoms of Fun, so I don't have to go in and give you any history of that. As always, we are striving to make Port Orchard a fun environment for families that live within South Kitsap County. We do our very best to bring great, wonderful activities that are free to downtown and the customers who come. I wanted to share with you a piece of advertising that we did that I think was extremely effective this year and would like to do that again. I didn't include it in your packet. We had printed out approximately 3,000 of these. It's a trifold that we put together, and I think I gave you a handful for the boaters. And I would like to get it out again this year to all the hotels, the B&Bs, and everybody that we can, because it promoted everything starting in May through all of the activities that we have in May and July. On the back is our full-fledged concert schedule that we have. So after the first 2 months of concerts was over with, then we concentrated on another one that's a smaller one. And it's listed a little bit differently in that we have our August activities, the Festival by the Bay in conjunction with the cruise, and then the Pirates Rendezvous that we did in conjunction with the 40th anniversary of the Farmers Market. And on the back, it has our list of events and all of our board members and everything that the board members are involved with. So I really felt this was a very effective piece of advertising that we did. And next year, we would like to really hit it hard and heavy with more of that. I brought you, one, two, three, four, I got enough, okay. This is the big ad that we always go for in the Kitsap Discover magazine, along with the, if you'll just pass that down, along with the $900 ad that we put in for the 4th of July fireworks. That goes out in the Kitsap Discover, it's titled Kitsap, or Discover Kitsap Peninsula this year. They added the word peninsula to it, which I went looking for the magazine and it threw me because I was looking for Discover Kitsap and I didn't see that. And so this is our big ad. This goes on the ferries. It goes in the concierge. And I'm not sure if you get it at the port and give it to boaters because it just says everything that's going on for Kitsap County. And we've been doing this ad. This one here is approximately between 32 and 3,500 for that ad there. And we feel that it's well worth the money for that ad. Another means that we capitalized on this year was our first-time sponsor of the Grand Parade. They were a blessing to us, Kitsap Credit Union, because they ended up advertising us in their statements. They advertised us on their TV screen when you're standing in their lobby. They advertised us if you're on hold on their phone. They really did a bang-up job for us. And I've met with them, and Vi feels almost 98% sure, 99% sure that they're going to sponsor the parade again. So we're excited about that. So the advertising digitally we did online, and you'll be receiving all that paperwork probably next week. Karen and I are working on the LTAC reimbursements for this current year, and that includes the digital advertising that we did. Because the Kitsap Weekly is no longer, I don't know if you're aware of that, the Kitsap Weekly is no longer in production, and so we advertised locally in all the papers, because that's the only way we can get the word out of our events, is to advertise locally. Last week, I happened to meet the Vice President, Terry Ward of Sound Publishing, and I mentioned as we closed, I said, by the way, can we sit down and visit about the Kitsap Weekly? I would like to talk to you about that. And he said, I would like to talk to you about that too. So he said, yes, we will get together and talk about it. Because we all miss that. The weekly goes in all the newspapers. And so we tried to work out a deal with them that they would charge us the weekly rate to advertise in all the papers so that we weren't having to pay a higher fee to advertise in local newspapers. Okay, let's go to budget. You've got our list of activities in there. Well, I will just kind of briefly moment here. The day after our parade, I had a lady email, Deb Quinn from Port Orchard, who's with the Reenactor Group. And she said, we'd like to be in your parade next year. And I said, well, we'd love to have you too, but let's go one step further. Can you bring in your whole troop and do something for Port Orchard? She said, we would love to. So I sent you an email requesting an audience with you.
We can meet next week.
For next week, because they would like to come. They would like to camp downtown. It won't be the big 5-state reenactor group that we went to see in Chehalis, but they would love to do a battle on Bay Street. And even if we can't get the cars all towed, I would push for the state to close it for 2 hours, because that's all they need downtown is to close it for 2 hours. They would set up all of their equipment throughout the park area and let it be open for the tourists to come in and see what the old-time military tent looked like, what the old-time hospital looked like, and everything. And I just felt like that kind of got dropped in our lap out of heaven, because it was such a wonderful opportunity to have something new come to downtown. And I think that the crowd that we had last year on parade weekend will just be enhanced even more. And the other thing that we're looking to do, and we've included it in the budget, I included it in the parade budget when I gave it to Kitsap Credit Union, that we want to try and shuttle. We shuttle in August. Everybody knows the parade starts at a set time and it ends at a set time. So whether or not people are willing to stand in line and wait for a shuttle bus to take them back up the courthouse for their car or back up to the high school for their car, we don't know. But unless we try it, we can't say it worked or it didn't work. So we want to try and have at least 2 shuttle buses running the whole entire afternoon from like 3 to 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night. We're going to try it this year. We never know until we try. So that's one thing new that we are really excited about, bringing something new to downtown Port Orchard.
We have about a minute and a half or so.
A minute and a half. The other thing that we talked about is our truck. Let's go back to the budget, where my budget go. I tried a new budget for you guys this year because the old budget to me was very confusing. This is laid out in more of the form of a true budget that I'm used to doing. And the highlighted areas are those that we are seeking help in doing. Now, what can we do if we don't get the money? Well, as with any other organization, you go to Plan B, you revamp, and you cut back on different things. We will drive the truck until it literally quits running, because it's not worth it to reinvest any more money into that truck, because it is 200,000 miles or something close to that, because it was rolled back when it was taken in. I think I mentioned that in, third bullet from the bottom. It's 23 years old and it's got over 400,000 miles on it. And we have repaired it to the point beyond repair. So Fathoms is in need of a new truck to pull its float with. And other than that, my budget is pretty straightforward. We operate on what we get. And I continue to seek sponsorships. I can't tell you how I continue to seek sponsorships. The credit union, I think I've almost got them to sponsor a band, so that's adding 2 more bands since last year, because I got Edward Jones to sponsor a band. They loved it. They will always do it. They brought a canopy down, gave out water and trinkets, and I think the credit union, she's going after corporate money for the parade, so she's going to spend her little dab of money to sponsor a band and a contestant. So we just keep pushing for sponsorships. And I just want to say on record, thank the city of Port Orchard for the support through the law enforcement, public works, and everything that you guys do. Port of Bremerton for always letting us be on your park. We absolutely love
So if
it.
you guys want to ask questions, I will let them know that you guys are about ready for them.
First, I'm a fan, I go to all these events living in town, but these are lodging tax dollars. I didn't really hear you talk about how this is what your view plans and all that translates into the heads and beds thing. When you're talking about the advertising, you're talking about going in Sound Publishing. Well, Sound Publishing is it's a local, regional Kitsap. It goes to Kitsappers.
It goes to all of Kitsap.
It doesn't go to anyone outside of Kitsap, which has a lodging person I want.
We want to try and advertise outside, and I mentioned that last year. I just need the contact sources, and I'm going to work with Matt, the chamber director, to get those. And I do want to come out and talk to you, because I want brochures in your hand on everything we do. And I know the downtown hotels and your B&B 4th of July, probably Parade Weekend too, are completely full, and they're sold out way in advance.
And also on the website, I'd like to see a lodging listing.
Pardon?
On the website, I'd like to see a lodging listing.
Of where to stay?
Where to stay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good idea, wonderful idea, wonderful. Yeah, we just got the bill from our tech guy, and so I think that's an excellent idea. And we'll link it to your hotel. I'll have him link it to your hotel.
Although-
Lorraine, same thing for you,
And
B&Bs.
Thank
No
you.
one's ever suggested that to me. See, you want to be on my committee?
I'm on, that's not already.
Good volunteers are so hard to find. My involvement, I'll be 30 years next year in Fathoms. And trying to find somebody to step up to the plate to replace me, I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime.
I just have a quick question,
Yes,
Sue.
Ken.
That's okay, did you get your
I'm good, I'm
answer?
okay.
Okay. I was wondering on page 3, where you're reporting projected counts, and it says that actual numbers will be required to be reported to the city in 2019. Where do these figures come from, especially the paid accommodations, the zip codes? Where do you get that information?
The zip codes,
Mhm.
I get the zip codes from concerts. We collect concert zip codes every night, and I have gotten the zip codes from Chen, and I would like to touch base with you on the 4th of July and Parade Weekend for zip codes, and the same for you, Lorraine.
I think I
Okay,
can get you zip codes too.
so,
And I need the boater zip codes, because we do get boaters in, and we have boaters that come over to the concerts and sit there and listen. And I wasn't down there for Elvis, I was in Italy, but I heard it was a good turnout.
okay. So this 100 then for paid accommodations is just the Comfort Inn only?
The Comfort Inn.
This count right here?
Yes, that's
This is
basically the Comfort
the
Inn,
Comfort Inn,
because
okay,
they're the ones
good.
that I've gotten the zip codes from.
Thank you.
Yeah, and he's booked 2 months in advance.
Great, thank you.
So if the committee has any other questions later on, we'll reach out to you and get those questions to you and hopefully answer them and
Okay.
get back to you.
I did print out one of the brochures for everyone. This is the summer one that we printed out.
This was our number one thing we gave out at the marina.
Well, I'll give you
The heck out of
however
this.
many you want for the
Yeah.
boater's bag, Kathy, because
was a great tool.
I will print this one out. And we also have new banners out in the county. We also had new stake signs, so we want to invest in more of those. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would agree with you that this was successful.
All right, Kitsap Mustang Club is up next.
I
Thank
can
you
talk
so
fast
much.
enough
That
to
was
give you
really
more
nice.
information.
That's how it
To see
goes.
you guys, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you have a business card on you?
I don't.
I know where you live.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Most people do.
Don't
You want to fall over, yeah.
But I'm going to Leavenworth tomorrow for the parade.
Okay,
Sharon,
I think so.
do it.
It's all-
Second, fourth, not good, any other day I can do.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
The Mustang Club.
I have, but don't read anything into that. I'm
Oh, no, I'm
it's always a new experience every time.
Oh, cool.
The total amount of allocations,
Don't look to you for tips.
100.
Please don't.
Yes, yeah.
But what's the total asks?
I want to say 160-ish.
Okay, so a lot of skipping down.
I'll get that for you.
So this is the Mustang Club, and we'll go around and do introductions. I'm Jay Rose Pepe, I'm with the city.
Go ahead, no, please go ahead. I'd love for you to introduce
Wasn't
first.
sure which way we were
anyway.
gonna go.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter, whatever way you want to go.
All right, I'm Lynn McCready, the president of the Kitsap Mustang Club.
And I'm Susan Stadsog, and I'm the show chair.
Brandy Rainierson, city clerk, city staff.
Jack Edwards, Dayton.
Keith Washus, Saints.
Kathy Garcia, Port of Bremerton.
And Lorraine, Lee's friend. Nice to see you
Okay.
again this year.
Me too. Nice to meet you all. I know some of you.
So you'll have 10 minutes to talk, and then we'll stop you, and then they'll ask questions.
Okay,
you can
so
just-
you're familiar with our event, right? And so we've been in Port Orchard all but one of the 30 years we've had the show. We've been on the waterfront since '92, and it's progressively grown from, we started at the Kitsap Bacon, went to the I'm just giving you a little bit of history about the show. And then we moved to the gazebo end because they had the cool bleachers and gazebo and bathrooms and everything. And now we've moved back. We've expanded from the gazebo end all the way down to the bank. And we've worked with some really fine folks down there to secure more parking for our event, which was really helpful. And we take pictures. Our guests and the people we invite, besides our club members, love Port Orchard. They love the location. It's one of the premier locations for the car shows that we participate in. So we used the funds last year that we were awarded for advertising and marketing. And so that allowed the club to do more advertising and marketing of the event. So we used it towards, and I brought a few things for show and tell if you want to see them. So we do like a save the date card, and we have Port Orchard on everything that we send out to everybody. And I can pass this around if you want. So we send those save the date cards out to like the last 3 years worth of people that have attended, because like myself, I can't go to the same show year after year. I might miss a year or two, but so that's gotten to reach more of our participants. Now our car show is different than the cruise because we just have Mustangs, so we're the last Mustangs only show, I believe, in the state of Washington,
I think so.
if not maybe on the West Coast. So that's one thing that helps with us in postage too, is we send out about 300 to 400 cards. And then we do a little program that we give out to everybody that comes, and I can pass that around if you want to look at that. I have two if you want to look. This year we had 260 cars at the show. The most we've had is 288. I can never explain the fluctuation in that. It kind of goes up and down over the years. The very first year we had 80 some cars, or 78, something like that. So we had it at the Port Orchard Mall. That's where we started. And so it's grown significantly over the years. We get trophy sponsorships from West Hills Ford and also Port Orchard Ford, which is great because I know they're like rival dealerships, but they both support the show and Mustangs because we have many members who buy cars from each of those dealerships. And so we get a lot of pre-registrations from these cards, which is great. We offer them a little bit of a discount for pre-registering. So they get $5 off rather than registering the day of the show. So it kind of helps us in planning how many people are coming for parking and other things. We have people register that don't show up, but they just donate $15. So we keep track of a lot of different things. So we do a lot. We try to also include a lot of the community with our event too. So we invite the mayor. He always kicks off our trophy presentations, which is really awesome. And we have the Fathoms of Fun Court come and help us do the trophies presentations, yeah, and pick a car. We let them all pick their car. So the mayor gets to go pick his favorite car and present a trophy, and the different groups that we have come down do that too. We have Thank You Days In. They did a.
I wasn't there then.
You weren't there then, but your hotel was one of our host hotels. The one Comfort Inn was full because they had a wedding, and I know a lot of people for car shows do not make plans in advance. I've come to realize, or else if they do, because a lot of car shows are weather dependent, because if it's not sunshine, if it's raining, I'm probably not going to go to a car show. Sorry, but anyway, we have that happen. So I know that some of the hotels, they worked with us to hold the rooms a little bit into July. So I did contact both hotels to see about how many rooms that they rented out and mentioned the Mustang show. Not everybody does, but we ask them to, because we also put that on our flyer. So, also with the money, as I said, we got to do some more advertising, so we were able to put a, because we're not obviously a nonprofit club and we don't have a whole bunch of money, but we're getting better, or a lot more, because we're increasing our membership all the time. And so we were able to put a ad in this that we had people come up from Oregon because they saw this, because this is all over the Northwest. So I did not mark the exact page our ad was on, but you guys can look at this too, and when I find it. So let's see. And we were able to advertise. We advertised in all the papers, the South Sound Publishing. So in the Port Orchard Independent, the Kitsap Reporter, and the North Kitsap Herald. We didn't go all the way out to Bainbridge, but we were able to do that, and we did online too as their recommendation. So a lot of people do not get paper newspapers anymore. They do a lot of online with their phones and such. So at their recommendation, we did some extra advertising on their websites. We also were able to, with some extra funds, put a thank you in the Port Orchard Independent. That I think that will become that's a nice, because a lot of the businesses in Port Orchard to donate to our raffle and such, as well as all over Kitsap County. And it's not 10 minutes yet. I'm trying to think talking about. I'm sorry. I'm doing it. You're fine. So the front of the magazine here, but can you find the ad in there? I don't know where it is. Okay, so
We'd love to ask questions.
and we did we were able to put an ad in here. The Port Orchard Independent let us, put an ad in there. So we didn't name every business that donated. We also do, it's kind of fun, we do a poker walk downtown during the event, and that gets our guests out into the businesses, and
Nice.
and a lot of so we they do a poker hand, and that's kind of fun. And then we had one guy come into the trophy room, and he's a business down there, and yeah, we were able to do this. So he's like, hey, I want to be part of this next year. Would you have one of your poker stops in my business? So we took his name. So yeah, it's kind of helpful too. So
Do most of the participants participate in that?
a lot of the guests do. A lot of our members don't, because we're working. So I've never had time to do it. A few sneak out and do it, but a lot of because we're our members are hosting the event, so we're working all day. So I haven't been able to do that. But another thing that was really fun that we did this year, Port Orchard Ford. We had a show and shine on Saturday there, and we had about 35 cars show up. And some of our guests that were spending the weekend were able to have, they had something to do. So, this year it's like, hey, can we bring some food, and they'll barbecue. They had barbecues, and so one of our tours and events gal had some. We had a little scavenger hunt around the dealership, and that was kind of fun. So it was a great way for our club members who have to work all day Sunday to kind of relax and get to visit with our guests that we don't always get to do. So that was a fun little event. So they loved that so much. They said, we want to do this again next year, and we'll buy the food and do it all. It's like, well, okay. So that was fun.
But we also had a number of people that come on Saturday
to spend the
to
weekend.
that event, and that's our
Yeah,
purpose
so-
of having it.
Yeah.
Is people who come in from out of town, they don't live here, they don't know anywhere to go or what's
nothing
going
to
on,
do.
so we have a chance to talk with them, and they're all invited. we send a notification out that we do that on Saturday, so then we hopefully are encouraging more people to come. It's not me, okay.
Oh, that was our time.
More people to come and participate in the show
The show,
and
yeah.
get the word out where it's going to be.
And we do put on the flyer now. I put this year so we could try to capture how many people were spending night, spending, required overnight lodging, so to try to get numbers from that. So we were trying to, since we hadn't done this before, this last year was our first year to do this, to try to capture some statistics for the city.
So I'll open up to the
Okay.
questions for the
You
committee.
got questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
Were you gonna say?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead,
Okay, wait,
please.
no, go ahead.
So there's this new requirement on page 3. It says actual numbers will be required to be reported to the city in 2019. So I just wondered how you think you would do that. This is all these sort of things here that I think people are sometimes estimating or not getting complete information. So I wonder
Well, this
what
is the
your
first
thoughts
year
were.
we're gonna have to do that, and honestly, I'm not sure how we're going to do that. I really do not, because we have, hundreds and hundreds of people walking through there. We know how many people come in with cars, pretty much, and we can do an average, everybody's not alone, but we didn't count each person in the vehicle when they came through, but we do it on an average, just considering like when our members go to a show, how many are couples, how many are singles, how many are families. So we can capture that of the actual people that attend the show, that participate with a car.
With a car.
But to be able to count how many community people come down there, if you have some advice for us, we would love to hear that. I mean, we were able to work with the hotels to contact them and, block some rooms and see how many get filled by people that spend the night, and just by word of mouth. Some guests are friends with our members and they come into town, but they spend the night. There was a couple that spent the night with a friend that they've made in the club, so they don't, because we had one couple that was a member. I mean, they moved to Arizona, but they drove back for the show, and they're going to be here again next year. But since they have personal friends in the club, they don't do lodging, but they're here for next year. They're going to be here for a month or two, and they're going to be spending money in the community.
Thank you.
So, do you have some advice though?
No,
I mean,
I really am
Are you
sort of
struggling how
just
to do
collecting
your-
information about how
Okay.
people are thinking about that. And,
Okay.
just, that's all I'm doing. So thank you at this point.
So,
On your
Yeah.
website, do you have a link to lodging or lodging operators?
did
or-
we link the hotels?
Yeah.
But we can.
The application
We-
has.
The application has
Oh, does
the,
it? Okay.
our, and that's online, and it lists, I have a flyer I can show you. I mean, I should have a flyer in here. Yep, I have a flyer. But our flyer lists the hotels. They listed the Days Inn and the phone number, the address, and the Comfort Inn as well. And, but we could link,
Yeah, the
if
flyer's
you have a
only for your
website. For our
participants, though, right?
participants, yes.
Yeah, we give them the information. I don't know that it's
Yeah.
linked, but we could link it.
We could link it. It is posted on our website, the flyer and the show registration form. And, so
Do you list the bed and breakfast on there too?
no, but we could. I mean, I've had phone calls and we have given out that information for the bed and breakfast, but we can.
Okay. Well, good. Well, I know it's time's up, so
Oh.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
if the committee has any
Oh.
questions later
Oh.
on, we'll send it to you and then give you the opportunity to answer the questions, and then we'll get them back to the
Okay,
committee. So
do, please.
Thank you
'cause-
very, very much.
Yeah.
It was nice to have you guys here.
So did you
Yeah,
keep a
thank
copy
you.
of the flyer?
Of the program.
That one there? Yeah. Keep a copy of that for
You're
your
welcome.
discussion,
Oh,
because
thank you.
you'll find information in there that goes to everybody that participates, the different places to eat and all the activities for the day.
Oh, you know what we do too, we do a lunch raffle. Can I just say that really quick? So we do a lunch raffle.
as you're standing.
As I'm standing up, maybe. But, so what we do, we list, all the people that have donated to the raffle, like a free lunch or whatnot, and we list them on there, as well as the poker, so to get people out onto Bay Street and to visit the businesses there. So that's really beneficial for the city, so.
That's a great idea. Thank
Anyway,
you.
so we try to do something.
Nice to meet you.
Just for
Thank you
everybody, for
very,
your time.
very much.
And I'm leaving now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye, thanks.
And I can always make copies of that for everybody if everybody wants their own copy to take home and look at, so just let me know.
Take those over here and have somebody go around and count and just people that are wandering around at certain times. I don't know. It's a good question.
I just kind of, I'm just trying to find out, get a sense from
The people. Because
Right here,
nobody's
And it's a
thinking
two-day
about it.
process.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, we need to.
So we'll go around the room, and then I think we'll bring Toby a 10-minute presentation and some time for questioning. So we'll let you guys introduce yourself first. We've done this different ways each time.
Okay. I'm Bill Hubble, I'm the cruise director. And this is Mark Edwards, he's my co-cruise director for the cruise.
Yep.
And
Brandy Reinerson, city clerk, city staff.
Jack Edwards, days in.
Go ahead, they know.
do you really?
And Lorraine, Mrs. House Bed and Breakfast.
And J. Rose Pepe with the city.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so first off, I want to start out by thanking the city of Port Orchard for all their help during our cruise. They provide police support, and Public Works sets up signs and stuff for us and keeps the barricades up. And they also keep the ferries going on our day. I don't know how they do that, but I'm new at this, so we're looking for money for our sand cans and advertising, basically advertising. We have a fairly large advertising bill each year. We would like help with that. We have several charities we contribute to. Helpline, Soup Kitchen, and Wounded Warriors. We contribute to all three of them. And you got anything, Mark?
No, just what we're asking for is money for advertising, and we have our t-shirt sales this year at the cruise and our registration numbers. And t-shirts were 3,982, registrations 9,170, for a total of 13,152. And we basically, we've upgraded our radios over the last couple of years. We're in contact with medical while we're down there, and we have also ran a test and we're trying to increase our t-shirt sales by offering different types of t-shirts. So there are things we're doing to make money, more money if we can. We had to spend a little bit of money this year with the construction that was going on to let people know how to get in there without hitting gravel.
Yeah, we had to buy a sign, or get one of the big highway signs and put it up on Sedgwick exit, so people wouldn't go to Tremont because it was gravel there, and you know a hot rodder doesn't want to get his car dirty, especially when he's going to a show or rocks thrown on it. So we had to divert them around Tremont. No.
Jack, you want to
Oh, yeah.
go first?
You don't have a very big ask, so I'm not going to hit you too hard. But do you want to know, with money you want for marketing, where are you marketing? How are you marketing? What are you using? Website, promotional materials, and where are those going to? How do you promote the event?
We send out mailers each year, little postcards to Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and in Washington also. We get, boxes of flyers that we put around. And whenever we go to a car show, we take our flyers and put them in people's cars at the car shows. And
We got the Cruising Magazine.
I got the Cruising Magazine, yes.
Plus,
John Kinsel.
yeah, he's in John Kinsel's Cruising Magazine. Plus, we advertise in the Sun and on their website also, and Port Orchard Independent.
Yeah.
Were you gonna ask the question about linking?
I don't know if they have a website.
That's what, that'd be, that'd start the question right there.
Yeah, we do have it, that's another way we advertise is through our website. We get that out to everybody.
So I always recommend for lodging tax that you have a link to lodging operators in the city.
Okay, so I also submitted my email and stuff in our information to Chamber of Commerce. And I get quite a few calls from that also.
Curiosity question is, how much did you donate to the charities approximately? Curious.
Pretty much on the charities, whatever's taken in.
Right.
Probably this year, we put out over $8,000 to charities, and then the rest was just we got 13,000, you said,
Yeah,
overall?
13,150.
So from that 13,000, which is the overall, we take out our operating expenses and everything else goes to charity. Any extra money,
Right.
and everything goes to
Oh, no,
charities.
yeah, so it's about 8,000. I'm
Yeah,
just curious.
around 8,000, somewhere in there. Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on, participation. We have, because a lot of them, our main one is the helpline. That's one of our main things. We did used to give a scholarship to at this high school and stuff for somebody that's going to go on in the automotive field,
Right.
but that things are happening at the high school now. And they're kind of pushing us out a little bit where they're not giving us the numbers, or they're doing away with auto shop, or there's something going on up there, so we've channeled that money back into somebody else that could use it, or to continue a scholarship that we given previously. We've continued that for their, instead of now their first year, there's elect students now in college for the second or third year, they're still having some problems with meeting their things, so we're giving them a scholarship, to continue their education even further.
That's the Jesse Jones. We gave him $1,500 this
Yeah, I
year.
was just curious.
About how many cars and how many come from out of the area?
We had 471 cars paying customers. And with our club cars, our feature cars, we came up with like 520 cars.
Oh, that was just, okay, gotcha. 20 including your group.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
That is.
big-
It
It's a big
It's
show.
Yeah.
It is a huge show.
that's pretty average.
It's very impressive. And then I have and I'm asking everyone this, on page 3 of the application, there's a note that we've asked you to estimate the numbers of increased tourism, and then in 2019, actual numbers will be required to be reported, and I wondered what your thoughts were about how you would do that.
Our bus count was right around 8,000.
Because the
We
thingamajigger that went back
bus
and
people
forth.
from the courthouse,
Shuttle.
and we bus them from the armory.
Mhm.
And our bus count was right around 8,000. so.
Wow. So that's one way. And then and then you've also estimated paid lodging accommodations and unpaid accommodations. Do you have an idea? And it's okay to
Don't
say
have-
no.
I don't- we don't have
We're just
any idea,
curious
no.
if
We're,
this is a hard one.
Yeah, because what do we have, one or two motels in Port Orchard?
Well, a couple of bed and breakfasts too.
A couple bed and breakfasts.
They pay to the tax fund too.
Yeah. We don't ask that information on our entry forms, so it's kind of hard
And if
to,
you track the zip codes for your entry forms.
yeah, we have
Yeah.
submitted the information with zip codes also.
It's basically an estimate of, based off the zip codes, okay, how far out of state are they coming from, or whatever, so.
Well, zip codes are good information, no doubt about it.
So it's basically just an estimate, okay, so say we get 10 out of states, just using the number, 10 out of states, okay, figure 3 or 4 will probably are gonna stay overnight, because it's a long drive up, and they wanna get here first thing in the morning, so.
Yeah.
Because registration isn't open till 7, but a lot of the guys that come in from out of state, they're sitting down there. We're showing up at 4 in the morning,
I
start
was just
setting
gonna
up,
say,
and they're already
I-
down there waiting for us to get there, so.
I hear their engines start very early in the morning, and I just love it.
Yeah, so you know they're
Rolling
staying.
into town,
Yeah, so you
yeah.
know they're staying somewhere around here, you know, in a
Yeah, of
hotel or
course.
whatever, to get there that early.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any more?
Thank you. Thanks for
All right,
being here.
thank you.
And if the committee has any follow-up questions, I'll get that to you guys and then give you an opportunity to answer and then get it back to the committee. So,
Okay.
all right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good job, guys.
We caught up. We're on time.
Sweet.
Well, they wanted me to do the whole presentation. It's like, I'm not good at public speaking. You need to
Some
come
can
down
talk for hours and some not so much.
We appreciate it because it makes a nice balance for us.
Yeah.
That's how we get caught up.
You know, I heard that the Kingston Chamber of Commerce did a 4th of July or other events when they were trying to track people. They had jelly beans or something similar to that. And they had a sign, hey, just as you're walking by their booth, you know, hey, if you're from out of the county but being here.
That's creative.
Because a lot of people don't
That's
want to give
super
that information.
creative.
That
It's
is,
just a bean, you know, so
But-
it's not like a.
I like that.
But
That's
if-
awesome.
If we look at the applications and you're touching on this, and it's one thing I'm going to ask later, you'll have to think about, is, you know, some of the reporting that says on here, it says that if you received lodging tax funds last year, you must attach last year's reporting, and not everybody did. And it's a question of, is that a deal breaker?
Is that something we can go back and ask
Well,
for now?
that's my question. So,
Yeah.
but we have a very short time frame. So, you know, it's something that I just wanted to bring up, and I asked, you know, what you're talking about, like with the bean counters, or even linking, you know, for B&Bs and, you know, for the hotels. You know, I think it's something we need to be very, I dislike the word proactive, but I think it's a point to make with folks. Because it's important to the city and it's important to your businesses, you know, and stuff. So I can't wait for the next person to come up and talk. Do you want to sit in front, or you just want to be right here? I'm putting the clock on this one. This could go on for weeks.
She's gonna go out and come back in.
I do have one last question, though. I mean, seriously, we have a 7 o'clock, which is obviously this city, 7:15, but there was no 7:30.
yes. And the reason why is the 7:40, the last POBSA and Sydney Museum is the same
Right.
treasurer.
Yeah.
And they had a previous meeting, and that's the soonest that they can make it.
Oh, that was fine, because.
So that'll give us some time to get
Right.
caught up and
Figure
ask
out the
questions.
process.
And, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're on the
So that's
clock.
the reason why I'm Scout. So I am Brandy Reinierson. I'm the city clerk for the city of Port Orchard. And for the last 6 or 7 years, I have been asked or directed by the city to seek lodging tax funds for additional foot ferry services during the summer. We started out just on holidays, was very successful, and to the point where it was actually a profit for the city. And then as the years went by, versus it becoming a full profit for the city, we expanded it out to other Saturdays, Sunday services, even touched on to Friday night services. And so over the last couple years, recently, we've scaled it down just because we don't have the number of partners that used to partner with. And so now, last year, actually I should say this year, Kitsap Transit has picked up some services for that summer and has relieved some of the pressure off of the funds for the city and the other partners. So the ask this year for 2019's funding is, honestly, it's just an estimate. 2 days ago, I just got the ridership count for this year's services. I did reach out to Kitsap Harbor Festival to see what their hourly rate is going to be. They don't charge us anything but straight hourly rates for their time to operate the boat. Kitsap Transit donates the dock and allows Kitsap Harbor Tours to run the service at no charge. So that's their in-kind contribution. So the hourly rate in here is the actual hourly rate. What we don't know is who's going to partner with us and how much service Kitsap Transit's going to offer this year. So again, it's pure estimate. I can tell you that we asked for $6,300 this year, and the city's portion was $6,050. So we were really, really close on budget this year.
But and under budget.
Under budget,
Under
yeah,
budget.
and close. So this year's ask is $6,500. I assume it's going to be similar, if not less service, as Kitsap Transit's picking it up, that service. The other thing is that if for some reason Kitsap Transit isn't able to pick up those additional services, we will cut back like we did in years past. So it used to be from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And so now what we do is Memorial Day weekend, and then we typically have all of June off because there isn't any activities that's happening downtown in the weekend to warrant such service. And then we pick it up right before parade weekend, which is end of June, and then we continue all the way to the 1st of September weekend. So that is pretty much the ask there.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Do we have any ridership data?
Yes, I have all of the ridership data since we started.
Okay.
I'd be happy to share that with the committee. It gives the ridership count.
Have we seen, growth in that area, or does it seem fairly flat? I mean, since we're doing the same events, I was just curious.
I can tell you that the festival holiday days, such as 4th of July, Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend, or excuse me, Labor Day, Memorial Day. Actually, we don't do anything for Memorial Day. It's that weekend before. The holidays seem to be pretty successful and increase. Sundays, you can see an increase because it's been consistent for the last couple years. It's Sunday from 10 to 6.
People are getting used to it?
Yes, they're getting used to it. What is very inconsistent is we used to have Friday night services, we used to have Saturday night services, and those are all over the board. You also have to keep in mind that people get confused because transit stops at 8, city picks up at between 8 and 9, and so the data, we have the data, but as far as can you see an increased trend, if you look at it, you can see some.
I guess if I was going to ask any question, I would look at it for those specific days. So, if we have a holiday listed here, what would it look like on those holidays?
And we have,
that.
the last couple of years when the funding was a little less, we've looked at some. For example, the cruise likes to have theirs, I believe, start at 8 to 5, let's say. And we looked at the previous year's ridership and we say, oh, there's only one person coming on that boat. And so we'll bump it to 9. We'll contact the cruise or whatever organization and say, hey, we only had 1 or 2 boaters and let's bump it up an hour, or vice versa. Oh, the boat was full. Let's add a half hour and close it earlier. So we do adjust those when it's needed.
Cool.
Any other questions?
Did you get money from this fund last year for this?
Yes, $6,300 was from the lodging tax, and then City of Bremerton matches $6,300, and then we get about $7,000 to $9,000 in revenue. So that's what offsets it. And then in the past, we've had the Port of Bremerton and Kitsap County carry overages.
I'm a fan of economic development, so I see how it helps the businesses. As a hotelier, I don't see how it helps the hotels. And you're asking for lodging tax money. I've never been a fan of using lodging tax for city services. That being said, when you ask your question, there's no way to quantify.
Well, and just building on that, we have analyzed the data every year. We just don't have it this year, or it's just not here right in front of us. But and it just seems like the more consistent we can be from year to year, that's when the numbers increase. But and it's perfectly understandable why we make adjustments, but if we start going some Friday nights, some Saturday nights, some Sundays, it's really confusing and people don't even know. And I love the fact that in your proposal you're really looking at outreach, because that's the deal. I try to find it on the website and I have to just hand it to people, but I don't know if it's changed or not. I don't know if it's the most current one, so I really, really appreciate that.
And we do push it out through social media. I mean,
But
granted,
Kitsap
most of it's a
Transit
local.
doesn't post the additional hours on their website, do they?
Yes, they do.
They do now?
I take that back. They don't post the hours, but what they do is provide some sort of language that says additional service, click here, and when you click, it brings it to the city's Port Orchard that lists the hours.
Okay.
So
I'm
there's
a total
that.
fan of having it run on the weekend. I just wish there was a better way to subsidize.
And the goal is, now that we have the numbers, the last couple years, we've actually met with, invited and met with the county, the Port of Bremerton, the city of Bremerton, and the city of Port Orchard have all got together before the budget process and say, okay, how's the budget looking for the next year? So we can kind of gauge, one, what the ridership count is. And then this year, the goal is to invite Kitsap Transit so that they can kind of tell us, has that fast foot ferry, is it going to alleviate some of this, and do we even need this? And so we're hoping in the next couple months to have that answer. I know that's not going to help you guys now, but that's the plan.
And back to your point, it's a lifesaver for Cedar Cove and myself down here, because our guests can get over to Bremerton and over to Seattle, and they use it a lot. I mean, I'm making copies of that. And your guests are probably coming down here to visit the events, and then they can hop on the foot ferry and go over to Bremerton, and you may not even know
We want to
that.
leave Port Orchard.
Well, that's a good point, actually.
Well, I'm
It's an
saving money
excellent
here.
point.
It really is. I just think it's huge. It's just a huge thing, and I would love to see it run even more. So I'm so appreciative that you guys are doing
And
it.
I'm a fan.
Well, it's interesting because I can only speak to a couple of events that, anecdotally, but the one I go a lot to is the Taste of Port Orchard, and it's interesting to see what the traffic is. Number of people going over, but the number of people coming back over seems to be a heavier traffic because they're leaving the Blackberry Festival and coming over. And
Or Harbor Festival.
Oh, that's Blackberry.
That's
Blackberry.
Blackberry.
Yeah, that's
Blackberry.
During that
Like
time
they-
frame,
Okay.
it's that. So it's kind of just interesting, to watch that it kind of has a boomerang effect and not just our own folks going over to visit them.
And I believe that's why the city of Bremerton has always been a consistent partner, is because they see that benefit from Port Orchard side over to there, and then from them to us.
So they don't use lodging tax funds.
Correct. They use it in their general fund. Correct. Yes.
Any other questions from the city?
And then no, go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
I mean,
Yeah.
Anybody else?
No.
I don't mean to do that, but
Go for it.
but just back to the question I've been asking everybody too. How have you thought about how you're going to report actual numbers in this estimated numbers of increased tourism?
It's very tough. I know that one of the thoughts was to somehow engage Kitsap Harbor Tours to get some sort of zip codes or out of area. It's difficult for them because it's
they need a jelly bean jar.
they I don't want to say that they refuse, but they have a hard time trying to figure out how to do that with their staff. So their staff just takes the money and that's it. So to educate them and train them on asking them why are they here, what are they doing, they're not interested in that part. So then it falls back to the city. How can we better gauge that? And honestly, it's a guesstimate. We do reach out to hoteliers sometimes, and bed and breakfasts and hoteliers at sometimes, but
Yeah, even if
it's hard to
hoteliers,
gauge.
That number would just be too hard for us to.
Absolutely.
Well, is this in the wax that we have to do this?
Estimate, yes.
Good question. Why do you have to do it?
Well, I just
Actual
I just
numbers
wanna make
required
sure
to
if
report
it's
it, absolutely,
not,
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's per
so
the
we all
code.
have to figure this out
Absolutely.
somehow. And that's my whole point, is sort of raising the awareness, and then I think we have due diligence to help figure that out for people, because I don't want 29 people calling me
Correct.
for my numbers. I would like to just put them someplace, and then everybody can access them.
If the committee decides to only partially fund this, where does the city get the rest of the money from? Or you just cut service?
They'll cut service first. Well, I should take that. They'll either cut service or they will find additional funds out of the general fund to support it if that's one of their priorities.
I wonder if the Bremerton downtown and Port Orchard downtown would have any interest in pitching in.
It's been tried and asked, and there's no interest.
From POPs or DBA?
Yep,
That's what benefits,
yeah.
but mostly.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Randy.
All right, back to your other role. Okay.
So who do we have?
there's a
If
kid
we
set.
have additional questions, you
Know where to find you.
So we'll have some time after,
So is there a meeting scheduled for that?
for which,
We're already in our budget process.
no, I was waiting for the numbers. I know, so are we.
How much do you match?
We have, I don't think we did last year or the year before.
They did offer for overage if we needed it, we would present it, and based on preliminary numbers, we didn't need it.
Right.
Hi. How are you? Hi. Would you like some water? There's some water for you.
And let's do introductions around the table. So, you go
So I'm
first.
Patty Greco, Visit Kitsap Peninsula.
I'm Jay Rose Puppy with the city.
Okay.
I'm Lorraine with Mrs. House
Yeah,
Bed and Breakfast.
please.
Thank you.
Kathy Garcia with the
Familiar,
Port
I'm familiar.
Keith Washington, Creek St. Scarpo.
Yeah.
Jack Edwards.
I recognize you. The new days in person.
Yes.
And I've been around for a while.
And then Brandy Rainierson, city clerk, city staff.
Nice to see you. So, and I have my usual annual packets for everyone, which you have seen before. Now, let me see, I may be short. Let me see, I'm sorry. Well, I was having Sarah, my gal, and I think I only told her, so, well, we've seen these before, so, okay,
And I
yeah.
have.
Yeah, okay, great. All right, and then you get to.
There's plenty.
I know you get to keep.
Everybody's got one.
Here we go. I
Well,
think
then what
everybody's
I'm
got.
gonna,
You go ahead, you go ahead.
I'll use yours and give it to you.
Okay.
Okay, great. So let me get my proposal too. So this is my ninth, I think it's my ninth year, Brandy. And really appreciate the opportunity. We look forward to working with you again in 2019. So you're my second to the last presentation. I have Bainbridge Island one, but I've already had all my others. And one of the things that's come up in the presentations is, and I want to clarify that right immediately, is that Visit Kitsap is a marketing agency that markets the entire region, including the city of Port Orchard, as part of that marketing strategy. And we don't book hotels, and we do not compete with event organizers and put on events. We support events. We provide funding for events, like we fund Taste of Port Orchard, we fund the Antique Fair, we provide paid media, but we don't actually book rooms, so we are not able to tell you exactly how many rooms are booked through the marketing activities that we do. We try to tell people we're a little bit like the advertising agency for Starbucks and Alaska Airlines. We tell people to choose you and choose your hotels, but we don't actually book the rooms, sell the tickets, or sell the lattes. So I just want to clear that up, because we do spend quite a bit of money of your lodging tax, but also we use the funding that we get from the cities, the various cities, including Port Orchard, and we leverage that with all of the money we get from everybody else, including the Port of Bremerton, but also from Kitsap County, which we get the largest bulk of our money from, but Bainbridge Island, a little bit from Bremerton, and then we combine all those in order to produce all of these materials that include Port Orchard on them. And that includes advertisements that you'll see in your packets here. So this is an example, for instance, of Olala. The Olala Festival, we gave them $1,500. And then we did these full-page ads and flyers, and we paid for all the printing, the production, everything. And they put it in their, this publication that was given out to everybody. And then in that, we include the local hotels. Jack, I believe you are on there. And Cedar Cove, Best Western Inn, and Gig Harbor, because they're also, that was a big draw to get people to come to the area. So we're paying for those. These are smaller ads that appear in a publication, regional publications, Northwest, Real Northwest, Tacoma, Gig Harbor publications. And we use these to promote your events. And so we're actually doing a lot of marketing on your behalf of your events. And then these are ads that run in various publications, Northwest Travel and Leisure, Seattle Magazine, West Sound Home and Garden even. And in those, we always make sure that every area is included and represented. And then in certain ads, depending how big they are, we'll also include events happening that month. So a lot of these. And then that's in addition to, and these are ads like the Seattle Magazine. This was a flyer, a small, simple flyer that we did. And we update this all throughout the month, which lists all the different events that are happening around the region. We pass those out at events like Whaling Days or Fathoms of Fun. We had a booth at Fathoms of Fun. And so we provide that. This is a flyer, and we just had a major presentation. We're really big partners with the Port of Seattle and International Tourism Office, and so we take your literature and we present it to lots of people that are coming. What's this one? This is my one. So of people that are coming, and we go meet with them in Seattle and tell them about our region, and that includes Port Orchard. And then we hosted our Ride the Tide this year in Port Orchard, and we did a lot of promotion and marketing on that, and supported the farmers market. We had a whole promotional thing where we gave away $5 coupons to all the entrants of everybody and then they were able to use these $5 tokens at the farmers market to support the farmers market. They couldn't get cash. They could take this and go up to any of the vendors and buy produce and products. So it was a really nice partnership that we developed with the Port Orchard Farmers Market. So those are the kinds of things. And then we have all these literature cards, which are museums, farmers markets, art galleries, and they all include the destinations for Port Orchard. Here's breweries. And like this year, we also gave $500 to Slaughter County because he was doing a booth at Miramore Park in Bellevue. So we gave him $500 to help pay for that booth. And then we also had a banner up there and then passed out literature. And so he was really excited about that. And then we have like the National Water Trails, which Kathy, I know you're familiar with, and Brandy, you're familiar. This was a new expanded map, and this was paid for by the county, $35,000 in funding for this and the website. And of course, Port Orchard's part of this, and the Port Orchard Marina and Hotel. So these are all, we really provide really global marketing for the city of Port Orchard that it might not otherwise have. Folks like Fathoms, they do a great job, and we really support all of those organizations, the Downtown Port Orchard Bay Street Association. Even we work with Matt for those, help promote those local events. But we believe that the funding that we receive from the city of Port Orchard we use those funds to make sure that you're also front and center when we're marketing you globally. So let me see, I want to make sure I don't forget, because the other thing that we're really focused on we've been focused on and continue to focus on, I had two full board meetings today, so I apologize. I'm a little, I want to make sure you have it. Oh, here it is. Our social media web, let's see, I want to make sure. Oh, darn it, okay, I want to make sure. Well, that's not the exact one that I wanted you to have, but that's okay. Oh, here it is. Our social media is really huge, and especially for a younger demographic, which we think is really important for the growth of tourism for the city of Port Orchard, cyclists, outdoor recreation, kayaking, boating. So social media is really important, so we do invest quite a bit of time, and I sincerely apologize, but I think I brought the wrong copy. But this is a copy of these are 2 different weeks where you can see that Visit Kitsap's reach, and what we do is we compare other Facebook pages to our page, so when we are always looking at our analysis and insight, that you can see that we're ahead of Olympic Peninsula, Visit Tacoma, everything. So that's a really important. And some of the other things that we do on behalf of Port Orchard, as they are a tourism representative for the whole area, we're working, and Jack's going to be, I think, involved in that with, also I just got another call from Jessica Arthur, is that the per diem rate for hotels for GSA is stuck at 93 because Bremerton got dumped off its own designated city as a city in 2012, and so I met with Derek Kilmer's office yesterday to talk about that. He came in, I talked to his economic and policy guy, and so because what we want to do is we need to get Bremerton reinstated, and Bremerton represents the region, it's not just the city. So when people are picking, so Jack, this is the latest GSA, I don't know if you have it from, and so, like, for instance, Port Townsend is $159 a night in July and August per room, and we're still at 93. And I know Chan still relies a lot on government contract, because he and I've talked about it. So the only way that you can increase your lodging tax revenues is if you can increase the average daily room rate, correct? And do, because you don't have any new hotels. There's no way the only way you can keep growing your lodging tax revenues for marketing or support is if we can increase the revenues of lodging tax. And so the way we think that we need to do that for you, and Paulsville was another, because they only have 2 hotels as well, is you have to be able to increase the average daily room rate that the government allows for. That's one way, and we're focused on leisure travel, and they pay rack card rate, and everybody loves them. But a lot of the hotels still rely on the government. So anyway, this is just another thing that we're working on as Visit Kitsap, as your industry partner, with these kinds of organizations that maybe people that are doing events wouldn't be a focus of theirs to do these kinds of things that we think will, in the long term, are very beneficial to the city and your revenues, economic revenues. So anyway, we just got a great article about tourism in the Puget Sound Business Journal. You should have one of those in your packet, and I was able to work with Mayor Patonsu. He responded I set up calls with the reporter, so we got a really nice article. So Port Orchard was featured in this week's edition of the Puget Sound Business Journal as far as what you're doing for tourism development. So those are just the kind of services that we can bring. So for 2019, I did increase the budget because I was hoping to use some of the fundings to develop, work with local restaurants and hoteliers to develop a nightlife program. Not a really aggressive one, but at least get something started so we could get people to come and spend the night and stay in the hotels overnight and talk about the nightlife opportunities. So if I can answer any questions, I'm happy to.
We got a couple minutes for questions.
I'm sorry.
And
I would start, but I don't have to do a question because I already know what's going on, but I do like the nightlife aspect. I think Port Orchard has a really cool live music scene.
Yeah.
It's untapped, and a lot of you probably don't know, and I know I'm old, but I go to all the venues here that have live music. That's what I do on the weekends.
Yeah, up on the hill particularly, but I just drove by the swim deck, and man, it's just the parking lot slammed, and they have some really good music. So I think there's some opportunities where we can use those. So even if they're coming to the car clubs, the Saints Car Club, that's really a popular event. If we can get them to spend the night and then do some nightlife, that's provide support, and especially during the shoulder seasons, we think that's really important, and people are inside for nightlife anyway. So if I can answer any questions that you might have.
so have you, a curiosity, has the printed media going down?
Absolutely.
Okay, I was wondering
Oh, yeah.
what percentage
Absolutely.
that was going down. Will we increase social media?
So I think
Or
that's
electronic media.
Electronic,
So that's a good question. So one of the things is, because I've been in the ad business for about 50 years, I think, is you always want to look at your demographic and find out what they're reading or what they're doing or how they're consuming information. So for certain populations, they still like newspapers and magazines and hard copy things. Your millennials and the people that might be adventure sports, they're going to be social media. They're going to consume news on their phone. Seriously. And I mean, it's just amazing that, I mean, I have a 31-year-old who does my Instagram. I mean, she doesn't even like touching a regular computer. Even when I go, it's so much easier, don't you want to use a keyboard? Right. They do not. They want. So you really have to look at who you're talking to and what the event is, and if it's a nightlife thing, depending on what kind of nightlife, if it's jazz, blues, whatever, if it's indie, if it's a Bonnet Saloon. So you really have to know who your target market is, and then you pick the media that's going to be for them. But print media is definitely going down, but a lot of that has to do with printing costs as well because of the cost of paper, and especially newsprint because of the trade wars that are happening. That's an issue. So
I was just wondering how much, even from percentage-wise, how much it was shifting.
It's I have an article that I have about that. It's just a seismic shift, and especially because now print is also sort of becoming print on your iPad. So same way people are reading books now. So I think that the digital media is definitely taking over from traditional print media. Mm-hmm. But I think there's also a difference between traditional media, i.e. reading newspapers online, and social media. We're really looking at social media, what's called influencers, and content generated, user content, UGC, user-generated content, which is really huge. In like you do influencers, people that have maybe 50,000 followers that are, let's say they do pets. So we have certain target groups where people love pets, and that no matter where people live, they may follow that person because of that niche, right? So you have to do a lot of research to find those influencers. So just how you're buying media is just completely different, as you probably all know in business, right? So that's what, anyway, Visit Kitsap provides basically that service for the city of Port Orchard.
Well, I have just a couple of comments and a question. I
Sure.
really love your this focus on the nightlife.
Oh, good.
Marketing. I think that's really very creative, so thank you. And I also really love, I don't see this very often, where somebody
Yes.
actually shows where the heck Kitsap County is in proportion to
Yes.
Seattle.
Yes.
It's a real mystery.
Yes.
So thank you for having the state there, so people can get that perspective.
Thank you. I know we used that when we were in London, and we used that at our 2 meetings we had this weekend for the UK travelers, and they just go crazy how close we are to Seattle.
Mm-hmm. And so my other question, though, is on page 3 of your application, there is a requirement next year that actual numbers of both attendees and paid accommodations will be required by all of our applicants. And so I wondered, because you have so much experience, we're all going to have to figure this out together. What are your thoughts about that?
So the way that I did it for the county, and this is the way that I have been told that it's okay to do that. And actually my industry set those guidelines, and I was sort of looking at them like, why, people? I mean, there's nothing on the cash register that says, hi, I'm from out of state, right? So what I have been doing on those is I go and I use the Department of Revenue statistics based on overall gross sales. I take that, and then I take the total number of rooms in an area, and then we figure...
Those are only reported hotels, right? That you get those numbers from? So that doesn't include the B&Bs and the...
No, anybody, this is the Department of Revenue.
Oh, okay.
That's different. You're thinking Star reports are only reporting.
Right.
No, Department of Revenue is everybody that is required to pay taxes. So I use those numbers. And I try and use the annual because I've contacted them. They're 2 months behind if you look at them quarter to quarter, right? Oh, so anyway, what I do is I have taken those, then what I do is I figure total occupancy of all the available rooms, and then I'm conservative and I figure 50% occupancy, then I figure out what that would be, and then based on the amount of money that I'm spending for your city, I take a percentage. So I might say, okay, well, based on, $10,000 a year, I might make 0.5% of overall gross sales equals so many rooms.
Formula.
And that's a good
Yeah.
formula for projections, but we're actually going to be
Then I would not,
required
I
to do
would,
actual
yeah, but then I
numbers.
would just simply not qualify because I can lie, but.
Well, I
Yeah.
think there's a way we can do this, though, if we all work together on it somehow.
Well-
Especially, with your knowledge of your industry.
Well, the problem isn't the knowledge, the problem is the tracking mechanisms. Are you?
Exactly.
See, but Jack, do you track where unless you give me a zip code?
We
Right.
can't tell if a traveler
Right.
say, came to our hotel because they saw some as a kids out, or
Right.
some other media, or they had to be here for a wedding, reunion, or they were here for work.
But even tracking the zip codes, I've even talked to Stephen about, can you give me a list of zip codes where they come from and a breakdown of whether or not they are government contract, but and by month. As you know, the hotels don't like giving you that information. That's proprietary information. They do not want to give it out. So unless you physically book a room, and I can do that. Okay, got it.
And I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Trying to keep everybody.
No,
the same amount of time,
actual.
so.
And if
So
the
anyway.
committee has more questions,
But
I'll
anyway,
reach out.
and I agree with that, and if we're not eligible for the funding, but I don't know, to be honest, how anybody can provide that information accurately.
I think it'll be hard. It's really going to be a challenge.
Yeah, we've talked to our industry
Best
and,
idea yet?
yeah.
We're back to the
Thank
jelly-
you so
We're back to the
much.
jelly beans.
That's what I said, back to
Yeah,
the jelly
back
beans,
to the
I know.
jelly. But then somebody goes in there and gets a handful
I
to
know,
eat.
they eat
It's
them
like,
here.
there's your whole goes down.
I think it's good to measure it on, the way we like to say is, our job is to help increase results. So when results are going up, can't we go with that?
I would hope so. Thank you.
See you, Patty.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
But
Have fun.
Right, Bill?
yeah, that
Nobody
is
knows
the
how
hard.
they're gonna do it.
No, and that's the hard part because doesn't seem to be any way to say this happened.
So
this
where did
caused
that
this.
come about? Why did that?
That's going to be part of the question
Okay.
because it's like we're talking about here. It gives you must attach last year's reporting, and it's
Right.
like, okay, it's like you might as well take a dart and throw it against the
Right.
wall.
Or something like the science fair in Bremerton, they know exactly how many people are participating, where they're coming from, what city, and they even ask them what hotels are you staying in.
Yeah.
So they can break it down, but.
So we do have a few
They're able to do
minutes.
that.
Right. So.
They're just waiting on Chris, he's
Right.
coming from a
Yeah.
board meeting. You already knew that,
Yeah,
so
you said-
perfect.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm gonna let Brandy talk a little bit about the rest of the process. Because what Jack have been on other LTACs, this is a kind of new test. So if we're gonna have to obviously we all have to make some obviously tough decisions. Because we have a limited pot. It's about 137, if I added right, 133 or $137,000. And I believe we have 90,
We have 100,000.
100,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so it did increase from what's on the paper,
Yes.
to do that. So to recommend to the city council. So what would be?
Could that even go up? Because I know our September was unbelievably good.
Yeah.
So the $100,000
forecast.
is a estimated amount that the treasurer believes that we will receive in revenue for 2019. I don't know what the cash balance is. They won't know that until probably end of February because they're 2 months behind. I can't remember if it's first part of February or the end of February that they'll know what the balance is. So there could be a chance that we may have $60,000 in there or $80,000. I know that they're very conservative on their numbers, and I know that historically, over the last couple years, the balance is pretty healthy. It's pretty healthy. Historically, we've left it up to the chair to ask the treasurer for that balance. And then it's up to the chair to bring it to the council to ask them if they want to leave it there, if they want to open it up to the 2019 applicants, or they can open it up to everybody. So those are the three choices, and the last couple of years it's just been nothing, with an exception of a couple of years ago when there was a mishap on an application that didn't receive in a timely manner, so they opened it up. But long story short, it's $100,000 right now. We may have more later. And so once we get through this interview process, obviously tonight or sometime in the next couple of days, you guys will just let me know what your schedule is, and then you guys as a committee will come back and deliberate. Tell me what who you want to give what based on whatever the conversation is. We've had it as long as 3 to 4 hours in one night, and then we've had to go into 2 days. We've had it as short as 2 hours. It's really been, the process has been all over the board, whether you take a percentage, whether you take an amount, averages, you name it, it's probably been done.
One of the recommendations, or not recommendations, one of the items when I was talking to a fellow council member who had run LTAC before, had been a thought for the committee, had been which ones truly bring people in for lodging, because that's really what it's for, is to get people from out of town to come that are not just spending money in Port Orchard, but staying in Port Orchard. And I think that's what Patty, when she briefed our economic development committee, was the one thing that is holding Port Orchard back is not nightlife or food sales, because those have been going tremendously up. It's the fact there's no lodging here. That's what we're short on rooms.
There's just not enough outside of summer, not enough events, because after June, July, August, and this September, we're going to see lodging drop. But we as hoteliers would like to see that. It's not going to. We know it's seasonal, it's cyclical, right? But we'd like to see a little more of an uptick, right? Because Bremerton will stay busy year round because of the shipyard, right? But somebody had said that, and this is anecdotal, is the fact is that we get some of the shipyards business, but that hurts us because then we can't continue to book on the seasonal with the limited number of rooms. It seems sort of like the balance. A lot of hotels will cut off their per diem, like she was talking about. So your downtown Bremerton hotels will say, okay, we've got 50 rooms sold now. The government rate, no more government. We're cutting it off, and we'll save it for the higher tier, higher paying transient guests. You know that when you're working too all the time how that goes. When I was running the Baymont, I never had to really connect. So when you're running 155 rooms, you take anything. So it's a lot of rooms. Now running a 50-room hotel, I'll cut it off in the summer, but in the winter I'll take anything I can get. Right.
So it's an interesting choice with the applications and where you balance them. I don't know. Do they have the past allocations from last year?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And I can, I have whatever you guys want. I have the applications. I have, I believe, a spreadsheet that has the historical ask. Yeah. And awarded and council changed. Yeah. So in the past, the council would change what was asked and what was recommended by the committee. And so the last couple of years, I think whatever the committee's been recommended, the council has blessed. They did a little bit of shifting, but for the most part. So I have all of that spreadsheet that I will send to you guys. Yep.
And then if applicants who, off the top of your head, dropped off this year, or are there any?
Yeah, I think there were, when I was looking at it this morning.
So Jingle Bell Run did not apply this year, or for this season. Yeah. So they dropped off.
I had
Who's the other one?
the chamber, like they said,
They combined it.
consolidated. The Foot Ferry, the city of Port Orchard consolidated. Against Mustang, Port Orchard. No, it's the same. It's pretty much the same. It's just that they did some consolidation.
Except Jingle Bell Run.
We didn't get
And Jingle Bell
Chimes
Run.
and Lights from the city.
Oh, that was the
No.
other one,
Yeah.
Chimes and
And
Lights.
then the Jingle Bell Run.
It's again the consolidation.
They're not even
But-
considered
Yeah, not even that,
this
yeah.
in these.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I believe let's see, 7:45, so it is 7:45, so if we wanna
Yep.
grab them, and then I'm gonna bring another chair over where you can grab them, because it looks like there's 3 of them.
There's 3 applications. I don't know how they're gonna get all those in 10 minutes.
We give that to him to keep since he's the. Keeper of documents.
Good idea.
We'll do introductions after.
And then here's some water if you guys would like one.
All over the place here, sorry. This is organized as usual.
And then I'm assuming these are gonna do,
We're gonna do
few
POPSA first,
pops, okay.
and then I'll do city, and then
Okay.
get to normal.
All right, so can we go around to introductions, please?
I have a question. Like a point of order, since there's 3 separate applications, are they getting 3 separate pitching times?
It's all combined.
Sydney is not.
Sydney's,
Sydney's
so
separate.
Okay.
POPSA is 2 and then city's 1.
Okay.
Yeah,
And they're gonna do, Port Orchard Bay Street first.
Together.
first. And
It's
then-
one conversation.
Got it. Looking at the right packet.
Okay, so I'm Dave Jeffcoat, I'm Vice President of POBSA. I also work for Kitsap Bank right down the street here.
And I'm Kathleen Wilson, I'm the president of the Bay Street Association and the manager at the library down the street.
And I'm Christine Stansberg, I'm the treasurer of the Bay Street Association, and I work with the Sydney Art Gallery and numerous other things.
Brandy Rainerson, city clerk, city staff.
Jack Edwards, days in.
Keith Washington, Saints Car Club.
Kathy Garcia, Port of Bremerton.
Lorraine, Mrs. House.
Jay Rosemelby with the city.
Thank you. Well, we are here today to present about our request for the lodging tax funds to help support and run the Bay Street Association. So this last year, we were produced some really successful events. We also had used our funds to create a downtown walking map that has a schedule of downtown events on the back and highlights our membership and downtown.
Kathleen, are you going to speak to one at a time, or are you combining both of the applications together?
We'll speak to one at a time.
So which one are you starting
But right
with?
now, I'm just kind of starting with the first, with the $10,000.
The
with
$10,000
marketing.
one, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we used the funds from our marketing requests last year to cover this map.
Thank you.
And then also, we completely revised and updated our website this year. So we also used the funds for that. And that we'll be using the funds requests from this year, for 2019 to maintain the website. So this is kind of our, we worked on this for a long time. We saw a website that we really liked. It was an Eastern European city that had a great walking map, a really neat interactive website where you could click on different icons and the different little parts of the town pop up. And so it took a while.
It did, but we got there.
But we finally got there. And then down at the bottom we have our, we have some out of area businesses that are members, and then we have all of our events here and links to those and links to any application forms that we have. And then down here we have, we're highlighting our membership, and we're also highlighting the history of Port Orchard. So
It's a little bit of one-stop shopping. We're helping tourists find information about our town and also locals. So, and also highlighting the businesses that are members as well. So we feel like this website now does a much better job than our previous website did, even though it was a lot of back and forth to get to this point. So, so the money that we're requesting will help maintain that and help build out some of the features that we don't have quite yet. And then also, we'll pay for another run of the map. We're done. These are like the very last maps. I think there are 2 downstairs, and then we had these at the library, and that's like that's it. They're all
So we'll
gone.
give you these back.
Unless you need a way to get around.
These are really nice, thank you, and I appreciate being on it too. So
Oh,
thank you.
yeah, of
Thank you
course.
very much.
The circulation on those was crazy. I mean, more than we anticipated.
Yeah.
I mean, we went through,
We went through
5,000.
5,000. Yeah, we're done with 5,000.
and now we're ordering more, so.
Yeah.
People really appreciate being able to see, I know our guests really appreciate being able to sort of get a sense of where everything is, and this just really nails it, really good, so
Yeah,
thank you.
because
We give away a lot of
Yeah,
those.
it's one of the best pieces we've done. I mean, people talk about it all the time. And I think the voters do now.
That's a great tool that we use all the time, absolutely. Good job.
So we'll update that for 2019. And then we also we advertise quite a lot in the Country Register, which is, you can find this publication at antique stores
Antique
statewide.
stores and fabric stores and craft stores, and it's Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and British Columbia.
So on that last
And so on that
page
last page,
was the article, there was an article about
we wrote an article
Yeah.
about Port Orchard,
inside
the inside last page. And then there's 2 posters, one of the generic ones that we use, and then one that's event driven.
Yes, we have our Taste of Port Orchard attitude in that one, and then also there's a generic ad that we're using to promote Port Orchard. We also do generic Facebook posts to promote Port Orchard when we don't have events happening, and then event posts. And we use targeted Facebook marketing outside of the area. So we target Olympia, we even target Portland, we target Seattle, and north we target Jefferson County and Mason County.
Just the Facebook, or do you print going out to those areas?
Well, the Country Register is going out to those areas, and mostly we do a lot of the promotion through Facebook to reach those areas. And we have Art Access.
And when we do for anything art related, like the Art and Antique Fair or the Art Walk, when we were doing the Art Walk, is in Art Access, and Art Access is distributed to hotel concierge from Vancouver to Vancouver.
So that's our.
And when we started, there was nothing, the only art information in here stopped at Gig Harbor and started up again at Port Townsend. So there was nothing. Port Orchard was their first sort of mid-Kitsap County client. So, but now there's several others, so that's very cool.
We did some work on the Destination Washington too. We worked with them. So that's our.
Questions on this one?
If there was some funding that was going to come your way, because I see where the map is, who it's promoting. Since I pay a good portion of this fund, I would ask that the lodging establishments be listed somehow, because it says lodging tax.
We do for the walking map, we do put whether they're members of POPS or not. Days Inn isn't on there because Days Inn didn't ever participate in anything downtown.
I got you. Well,
But
I'd like to change that. But
right. So what we decided for both the website and the walking map is that because they're funded with LTAC money, we would always put the lodging.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
So we do Mrs. Howe, who is a member, but we also do the Cedar Cove and Comfort Inn, who are not. And we didn't do Days Inn because they really didn't care to participate.
But now that
But now
they're
they
there,
will.
now that they're
That could be
We'll
changing.
put days in on.
we can certainly put
Yes,
days in on there.
definitely. Yeah.
So I just have I don't know if it was an oversight, but I didn't see, it said see attached, but I couldn't find an attachment. And I think you've addressed a couple of these, but I wondered how you will measure the impact of this overall event, project that you're talking about.
So this one is difficult because we can't count people but we can count impressions on our Facebook page. We can, or our Facebook ads. We can see how many people have actually viewed those and shared them, and then we can also, we can get some idea with the amount of the number of maps that we're giving away. If we're giving out 5,000, those are not normally going to citizens of the area. Those are going to people from outside of the area mostly.
And the web statistics, we have the
I was
web
going to say,
statistics.
you collect things
Yeah.
from the website.
We
too.
collect things from the website, and we know what the circulation is for Art Access, and we know what the circulation is for the Country Register, for the generic ones.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Other questions on this proposal? All right, number 2.
All right, so our next proposal is the bigger of the two. This is the one for $27,000. And so this one is for event marketing and then the operating of the events that we put on. So we put on several events throughout the year, including the Taste of Port Orchard, which I included. I'll put that up. And I think you received some of these in your packet. We recently started an art and antique fair to go in conjunction with the Chris Craft Rendezvous, and next year is the 30th anniversary of the Chris Craft Rendezvous. So we're going to be revamping, and we want this event to be a little bit even bigger this year. We're going to be working with Samantha Smith from Josephine's Redeem to have more of a flea market type environment for this, because the vendors that were leaning more towards flea market were super popular with the voters and with everybody that was downtown. So that's one that we do. And then we put on our Ladies Night Out events twice a year. So we've recently revamped the marketing for that, and the banner is up right now with the old marketing, but we'll hopefully be getting a new banner next year. So some of that is included in, so the expenses for the banners, the expenses for promotional materials. And when we're doing these print materials, we're trying to get them out of the area as well, as much as we can. So we have divided this up to make it kind of simpler to see, like, with how much we're using to actually put on the events. And so that money goes towards things like the banners, the actual physical materials, like when we're putting on the Taste of Port Orchard, the expenses that we incur with that. And then with the marketing, it's getting, basically getting the word out about those events. And every year these events have grown. The Taste of Port Orchard was definitely the largest that we've had so far this year. Ladies' Night Outs are always really popular. And then we also have our newest event, which is the Halloween event that we're doing. And we know that we drew quite a few people from out of area with that. We market that on this email that goes out to basically all parents in the area, Macaroni Kids Kitsap, and that's and it's events in Kitsap, but it's like they have this huge kind of area-wide or sound-wide listing of Halloween events, and so parents look at that and go to Halloween events outside of their area. And so we'd always done that Halloween trick-or-treating, like trick-or-treating with the merchants on Halloween, but it was pretty dangerous because it's usually a weeknight and it's always during rush hour, and a lot of times the weather is terrible and it's also getting dark. And so by moving it to the daytime, the Saturday before Halloween, we can ensure the safety of the kids, and also we can really promote it and we can have a lot of fun with it. So we had a kids costume contest, we had the Washington Youth Academy, and Jay completely helped be crossing guards for us.
Yeah.
We had a costume parade that Dave was the leader of.
I kind of happened to be the leader. I mean, it kind of blew up. We kind of didn't.
Yeah, we didn't really anticipate how big it was.
Oh my gosh. it's
Yeah.
like- And then, I wasn't really scheduled to that, and Kathleen was kind of around, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta help her. And so it was
The
pretty,
leader
it was
of the
fun though.
parade,
But
yeah.
we'll be much more prepared this year, and I think it's just gonna grow, continue to grow, and it's just such a good avenue for safety for the kids to come down, and promotes downtown. People just have a ball, so I think
And-
that's gonna be a growing event.
That's the same day as the ghost train out at Jackson Park. They do that in the evening. So it's kind of a nice coordination that we have our event during the day and there's that event at night. So it's a big day, the Saturday before Halloween. And this year we're gonna we hope to add a pet costume contest too.
Yeah, oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah. It's gonna be fun. So we're all about promoting downtown and promoting Port Orchard, and putting on, having these events to draw people in to our town.
So the marketing for things like the Taste of Port Orchard and the Art and Antique, the Bloom Festival that we do in the early spring, that marketing we do with Sound Publishing in their out-of-area papers. So the Seattle Weekly, the Federal Way Register, one up in Squim. So we cover past Olympia up to Squim to bring people in and do a lot of, for those particular events, do a lot of marketing in the Seattle area as well.
Question?
I have just a couple of comments. I really love how you did individually price each activity that you guys do. And it just, all your activities bring so much vibrancy to the downtown area and just enhance our cuteness, I think, so much. And seems like I have one more. And I really also appreciate, and Fathoms does this too, you guys have activities for like 9 or 10 months out of the year. And so it's really bringing people now, not just in the summertime, but you start in the spring and go all the way until December, actually, or one of you is November, and I think you guys till December. And I just love that we're almost year round doing that. So thank you that's a lot of work, and thank you for doing that.
I like the rebranding and keeping things fresh too, just thinking of that and not just falling back on, what you've done. Yeah, it's great.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think we found that through those webinars the city puts on. What's that guy's name?
Roger Brooks.
Roger Brooks.
I think we learned some in those seminars about about having events throughout the years, because a lot of and we were doing that a little bit. In years past, we'd have 2 or 3 events, basically summertime, but it's that's when the city's alive. So we thought, can we spread these out? Do we have the capacity to do it? And I think that's why we started adding events, because you're right. It makes it vibrant all year round and as much as we can take on. I think it's important for the city to just do it. And I think that's what Brooks talked about in his webinars a little bit too.
You're doing it well, thank you.
Thank you.
And we're pretty flexible with ours, so when the Dragonfly does their movie festival, their cinema festival, they were doing it the same weekend as our May Ladies Night Out, or June Ladies Night Out. So they wanted the banner across the street, so we were like, okay, he's bringing people downtown, so we can move ours to the month before or the month after, when there's not some people coming downtown. So we were able to just move the date, so we work with all the rest of the people.
And it adds one more thing.
And it adds another thing to
that's
bring people
great.
downtown.
And his was kind of dictated to him the time, as far as the way that the
have
film
to do it at a
festivals
certain-
and the Oscars and the Emmys.
You
and
wouldn't
everything.
have much choice
He didn't
on
have
that.
much with it, so yeah, we were happy to work with Nick on that. Get more events.
Okay, last proposal?
That was kind of the two together, yeah.
Okay.
So
And then
that's-
Sydney is separate, so
So
they'll
separate,
remove
so
and
they
then.
can,
Yeah.
they can.
That's what I was wondering.
Okay.
They can go. They can go.
We're at it.
Good for support.
That's right. Actually, I thought that was the way it was going, so, yeah. Maui cat
She doesn't need us.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris is
Well,
like.
well, then if you guys are leaving, I do have one more question that I've asked everybody, and it's, what are your thoughts about, on page 3, I think it is on the application, where we've asked you to estimate numbers of tourism because of now it's going to be actual numbers will be required to report it to the city in 2019. So this is a really hard thing.
Mhm.
There's no right or wrong answer, but what are your thoughts about how you will accomplish that?
As far as tallying?
Well, it's asking for,
Actual
in the
numbers.
past, everybody's projected, and we've heard formulas and, really good basis for projecting, but now it's gonna be actuals, and so just wonder.
We've always had to do that, though.
What your
In the
thoughts
next-
are.
In the next January, provide actuals from the year before.
But how will you provide, who's been staying in hotels and bed and breakfast? I mean, they're actually asking for numbers on that.
At this point, it's totally a random.
An estimate.
Yeah,
Of
I mean,
course,
we can't,
projection,
especially
but
now.
it has to change,
Yeah,
it's a new
right.
requirement.
I
And so
mean-
I'm just asking what your thoughts are about how we'll get actuals.
Is there a way for you as a hotelier, is there a way to get that kind of information from you? We haven't had a lot of ability to get the information from the hotels.
Exactly. And what I'm posing that question just to sort of raise, what are the issues in doing this? Because we're all gonna struggle with it.
Yeah.
And so, just wondered what your thoughts were, because we're all in this together, to figure out a way to do this.
So if we did a little quarterly form that you handed to your guests that said, I'm in town for whatever, would you be willing to hand it out to your guests?
Well, and I don't mean for this to be a drawn-out discussion, just more or less to identify what the issues are. But I think one of the points is that we don't want to have to give our information to 29 different
Yeah.
organizations. Well, how can we work together so that it's a solid piece of information that everyone
Can you give it
use?
to the LTAC committee, and the LTAC committee can parse it out?
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I'm
that's
not sure what the
but
right
that's a
answer is,
good-
because there are also, we have the marina, we have boats that are moored that are not staying at the marina, and then we have the whole vacation rental by owner and that entire aspect of people coming into town that kind of bypass traditional lodging. So how do we capture those people? It's a
almost
big
impossible.
question.
Yeah, it's a huge
I mean,
question.
we can count people physically at our events, which we do, and we'll continue to do that, but like
And
as
we
far.
collect zip codes.
Yeah,
Zip codes.
but as far as getting, and
Hard,
so,
though.
with some events, it's easier than others, like with Ladies Night Out, it's easy because we have forms that everyone fills out with their zip code, but.
And you have the gift bags that you
Yeah,
get too, so
exactly,
you can count.
that's how we get that
Yeah.
number, but.
When you ask people for stuff like that, they
don't wanna give
They
it.
think that you want something.
Yeah.
You know, they
No,
think that they're
yeah.
gonna end up on a list of something.
Yeah, exactly. So good, thank
Okay,
you.
well,
Yeah.
thank you, and we'll have to move on to the
All right.
next.
Thank you, good luck.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So my big
Thank you.
question is, where's the meeting in October?
It's at
Brickhouse, yep.
probably 3 months now, so you know.
I had a doctor procedure where I couldn't eat, so that's why I didn't show up, because,
you missed it.
but yeah,
Yeah.
because if you can't eat, there's no
Can I give you
Oh,
this
are you-
much? Can I leave it, or should I just bring it
Yeah,
back
you
in the
can bring
morning?
it, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
the Sydney Museum and Arts Association is a nonprofit organization established in 1972 for the purpose of promoting local history or preserving local history and promoting art. And it was started by a group of women who wanted to preserve the old Sydney Hotel. And they worked with the woman who owned it at the time, and they established it on the National Historic Register. And they bought the hotel, and it was at one point the largest mink farm in the state. And then it burned. So that was no good. So at the same time, they had also purchased 202 Sydney, which is the original Masonic Hall in Port Orchard, and that was built in 1908, and the little log cabin about 2 blocks up, which was built in 1914 by a man named Alan Bartow for his wife Louise, who had always wanted to live in a log cabin. And he was the first Suquamish Indian agent. And when he retired, he was a Civil War veteran. When he retired, he built her the cabin, and they pulled the logs up from the log boom down in the bay, and she planted the roses. She called it the Rose Den Cottage, and she planted the roses that are still growing out in front of the cabin.
Wow.
So we purchased that actually from the city in 1972. The city was getting ready to burn it down in a controlled burn with the fire department because it had been abandoned since the mid-60s and it was all overgrown with ivy, and it was mice lived there. And so our organization bought it and renovated it, and it's now a little museum that showcases 100 years ago. So we have a mannequin family that lives there called the Orchard family, and they are doing whatever it was 100 years ago. So right now they're involved in the influenza epidemic and World War I, which next year everybody's healthy again, so that will be good. A number of years ago, they did another one of those, and they actually had a funeral. Somebody died. One of the mannequins died, so they built a coffin and had the undertaker, and it's like having a big dollhouse. So we do that, and then at the Sydney Museum and Art Gallery, on the first floor we have our art gallery, and on the second floor we have another little museum. And you can still see the chairs that the Masons sat in up there. And there's a pharmacy. We're building out a pharmacy. There's the Howe hardware store. There's a schoolhouse. There's a doctor's office. And people have donated things over time to us up there. So we have some really cool things, and we have some historic pictures that we make into postcards and things like that. So the ask for LTAC is for tourism marketing. So we market, we don't do events, and that we ask money for. We do tourism marketing. We put something in Art Access, which we talked about a minute ago, which is distributed from Vancouver to Vancouver, and it's also on the internet. So we have a print as well as an internet presence here. We also advertise in the Country Register, which is 4 states, and they let us do articles from time to time about history. And then we are part of, with Visit Kitsap, who partners with us quite a bit. We're on their art gallery guide, we're on their museum guide, so we don't have to produce those because Patty Graf Hope and her crew does a fabulous job of doing these kinds of things. We do postcards for the Boater Bag. We participate in all the stuff that's going on downtown. We have a website, we have a Facebook presence, we have Instagram, although I think Instagram was one too many things. When you were talking about social media, Instagram was just one too many things. But we have one. And we have the sign. One of the things that we asked to be reimbursed for is a sign on the highway. So there's a sign on the highway, a brown sign, for the Sydney Museum and Art Gallery, and you see it in both directions. So that is an annual charge. And so that adds up to about $5,070 of reimbursable expenses for the things. It also includes the Dex Media, which is Yellow Pages on the internet, and we have a focused presence there, and they push out material for us. It includes Discover Kitsap. It includes Scenic Washington, which is another web-based group that used to do tourism for the state, and when the state stopped doing tourism, they developed their own web tourism that markets the whole state. And we participate in that, and we can put events on that. We can just advertise our museum and the art shows. And we do an art show every month, a new art show every month. mostly local and regional artists. And every month there's a artist reception. And then we do some historic type events from time to time. So that is my story.
Questions?
I'll start. I was on the website and I was actually impressed that I saw a page that said visitor information, but it lists the posters for Fathoms, Port Orchard walking maps, explore water trails, explore BOB and BKP, and it doesn't list the lodging operators.
That was as far as I got. I'm still building that one out. That was something Patty and I talked about doing.
Yeah, so I was like, but you have the link. So now you see the links to the lodging
Yeah.
operators. So it's more of a comment.
No, that is on my list of things.
Because your ask isn't too big. Once again, I like the fact that there's no operational costs, it's strictly all marketing. So, which is what the money, our tax dollars are designed for.
And you're partnering with other people to make your.
Yeah, we work with Explore Port Orchard, we work with the Chamber for Explore Port Orchard, we work with POPSA, we participate in all the events, push out the Fathom stuff. The Fathoms court always comes and serves at our, we do 2 teas a year, so they always come and serve at our tea. And
Good job.
Would you like to answer your question?
And I learned something.
Lorraine, did you want to answer your question?
I already did.
Yeah, I mean earlier, but I didn't.
No, she participated in that
one.
question
Okay.
that I asked everybody, so I'm good.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you.
You're welcome.
You want to hand me that?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know what to put down as the thing, so I gave 2 choices.
Okay.
It's just the ones by Fred.
And it's 16 or 15?
Yeah.
16 first, 15 second?
One's the corner and the one that's...
I'll let you know what's available. I don't want to pay it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll get your receipt.
There's my $50.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You got a treat?
I got one for Sydney.
For the museum?
This is easy.
Wonderful.
My Pat found these great bird seed ornaments for us to make.
And how much?
I have 17, right on the corner.
Most of this.
Okay.
So you were asking for one of those
One of
front of
those,
Wisteria
yeah.
Lane?
No, on the other side, on Fred's side. On the bicycle shop side. You've got
On the
Wisteria
bicycle.
Lane.
Yeah.
I wanted the bicycle
Well,
shop
she's
side.
got hers right in
Like a
front.
lot shape.
Brenda has one right in front, and she already has a little
6,000.
tree in. I asked her if I could have one on the corner. She was fine with it.
And you don't have.
I'm so excited.
You know, it's
We
picking up
started
steam on this thing with the trees. I mean, we got one from the school district, and it's like, well, can we do this, this, and this? And I'm like, yeah, you know, whatever you want to do, just, you know, make sure that your ornament can walk away.
Yeah, that's why we figured the bird seed ones would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are gonna take them, but that's no big deal. You know, just as long as they're there for the
Well,
judging.
yeah,
Yeah.
because we're talking about school buses, and, you know, it's all over the place.
Cute. But wouldn't that be fun if somebody took a school bus home and they had that in
Are
their...
we still recording?
Yes.
Yep, yep, just wait.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the hard work you guys are doing.
It is appreciated, and I want to echo that again. Thank you for being part of this community.
It's my favorite one.
Because you've never been on it before.
Not this one.
No, he's been on it before. Yeah.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good. That's good that you have that.
So this time it would be if the committee had any questions, and then if they don't have any questions, then we can adjourn the meeting and then coordinate calendars. I don't think that we need to do that on recording, but if there's any general questions that you have or process questions that I can answer as part of tonight's meeting, and then you can ask me for materials or questions that you want answered for when you guys deliberate.
I think personally for me, I'd like to, even though I have some of the information on what was awarded, I think I'd like to see what the past asks were also.
Okay. And it's all one spreadsheet.
Yep, so that'd be great.
Yeah, and she's provided that every year. Is that what you're...
Yeah, normally we have a
history?
meeting at the beginning to go kind of go over everything, but because of things were a little different, busy this year, we didn't have that meeting. So,
Right.
yeah, I'll provide that to you guys all electronically, or if you
Thank
want
you.
print copy, let me
That's
know.
fine.
So would this be the time to talk about if we are involved in parts of the committee, or next time?
Next time.
Okay, so I guess we can turn it off and talk schedule.
So, you adjourn the meeting?
Yeah, adjourn the meeting.